Two bodies. Same shape, same strength. Yet only one will survive. Why would a snake hunt another of its own kind? And how can it swallow a body almost as large as itself? What looks brutal is a masterpiece of biology. The kingsnake doesn't strike out of rage. It performs an equation of survival written into its DNA. Each coil, each movement, is a calculation of pressure and patience. In a world built by instinct, this serpent is more than a predator. It's nature's algorithm, solving the oldest problem of all, who lives and who becomes energy. Beneath the sun of North America, a silent hunter moves through deserts, forests, and open grasslands. Its name is kingsnake, Lamprepeltis getula, a serpent whose colors imitate danger itself. Red, black, yellow, and white scales shimmer like warning lights. To the untrained eye, it looks like the deadly coral snake. But this mimicry is not for fear. It's camouflage born from evolution's genius. While predators hesitate, confusing pattern for poison, the kingsnake advances. In captivity, it seems calm, almost tame. Yet in the wild, that calm hides calculation. Every movement is deliberate, every strike measured. It doesn't chase chaos, it studies it. Within its muscles lies an old equation. Patience plus precision equals survival. The more you watch it, the more you realize beauty and danger often share the same skin. Across the southern United States and Mexico, the kingsnake has adapted to nearly every environment it meets. It glides through pine forests, crosses dry plains, and swims in shallow rivers without hesitation. Unlike many serpents that specialize in one habitat, the kingsnake is a generalist, a biological multi-tool. It hunts during the day, using vision sharper than most snakes possess, and it tracks scent with its tongue like radar searching for heat. But its most extraordinary trait is invisible, immunity to venom. While most animals fear the bite of a rattlesnake or copperhead, the kingsnake turns it into an opportunity. Inside its bloodstream, special proteins neutralize toxins within seconds. This means one of nature's most feared weapons becomes useless. The predator becomes the antidote. And in that immunity lies the secret of its throne, the reason it's called king. This immunity didn't appear by chance. It's the result of evolutionary warfare, a slow, invisible arms race between predator and prey. For millions of years, kingsnakes that survived encounters with venomous snakes passed their resilience forward. Over time, their descendants built biological armor within their blood. Today, when a venomous fang pierces their scales, enzymes act instantly, breaking down the poison before it spreads. Science still studies this mystery, trying to decode how such molecular precision evolved. Some researchers believe kingsnakes could even hold clues for future antivenoms, nature's hidden pharmacy inside a single predator. And while humans use laboratories to understand chemistry, the kingsnake carries a lab within its veins, perfecting formulas long before science gave them names. To understand the kingsnake, you must first forget what you think you know about predators. It doesn't rely on speed or aggression, it relies on intelligence. When it senses a rival serpent nearby, it doesn't panic or retreat. It measures distance, waits for stillness, and then moves like a shadow cutting through silence. Each scale adjusts for friction. Each muscle prepares for tension. It doesn't need venom because it understands physics. Its body becomes a living instrument, tuned to pressure, resistance, and rhythm. Where other snakes depend on chemical weapons, the kingsnake masters geometry. In that perfection, you see evolution's logic, not brutality, but balance. A predator that kills only to continue the pattern written by time itself. There's another reason the kingsnake fascinates scientists. Its mimicry of the coral snake. At first glance, both share the same red, black, and yellow rings, a coded warning across the natural world. But while the coral carries deadly neurotoxin, the kingsnake carries deception. Predators hesitate, giving it the precious seconds it needs to strike first. Evolution rewarded its disguise not with venom, but with intelligence. The irony is poetic. The imitator outlived the original. And through that illusion, the kingsnake reminds us that survival is not about power, it's about adaptation. Even color becomes strategy. In the eyes of nature, every pattern tells a story, one of fear, calculation, and survival written in scales instead of words. The kingsnake does not kill with poison, it kills with precision. Its weapon is pressure, and its body is a perfect tool for measuring it. When it strikes, it wraps around its prey in a spiral of muscle and silence. Every coil tightens with purpose, like an ancient machine powered by instinct alone. Inside that movement, there's calculation. Tiny sensors along its body detect the heartbeat beneath the scales of its victim. As the pulse fades, the kingsnake adjusts, tightening or easing in perfect rhythm. It doesn't crush, it measures. It waits until life stops moving, not from suffocation, but from a sudden drop in blood pressure. In less than a minute, the system shuts down. What looks like violence is mathematics made of muscle. Most constrictors rely on brute strength. The anaconda uses mass. The python uses duration. But the kingsnake uses precision. It doesn't need to be large to dominate. Its technique is surgical, a choreography refined by evolution to waste no energy. Studies show that during constriction, it applies just enough pressure to stop blood flow, nothing more. Once the job is done, it releases instantly, saving energy for digestion. That's efficiency on a molecular level. Imagine an algorithm written not in code, but in tissue. Each muscle fiber learns the rhythm of survival, performing it flawlessly. While other snakes rely on power, the kingsnake relies on data, biological feedback loops that make it one of nature's most efficient hunters. Its hunting begins long before the strike. The kingsnake reads the environment like a sensor grid. Vibrations through the soil, scent molecules in the air, the faint warmth of another body. All these signals converge in its nervous system like data in a supercomputer. Every flick of its tongue captures chemical fragments, analyzed instantly by a sensory organ in the roof of its mouth. It doesn't just smell, it decodes. The brain translates those molecules into a full map of movement, identity, and direction. By the time it strikes, it already knows what it's attacking and where the vital points are. Nothing is random. It's instinct guided by precision, a living instrument of biological intelligence. To watch a kingsnake hunt is to witness restraint disguised as power. It doesn't rush. It calculates. When the moment arrives, its body becomes a single flowing motion. Strike, lock, coil, complete. No wasted breath. No hesitation. Each second of action is balanced by long minutes of stillness. This alternation of patience and precision is what gives it the title king. In nature, dominance isn't about noise or size. It's about mastery. The kingsnake doesn't dominate through terror. It dominates through design. When scientists measure its constriction force relative to body mass, the results defy expectations. Pound for pound, it outperforms almost every other snake species. It's proof that control is the highest form of strength. Every kingsnake carries within it the blueprint of efficiency. Its metabolism burns energy slowly, its reactions flow with discipline, and its entire anatomy is tuned for balance. Even its scales play a role. Their texture helps it anchor during constriction, turning friction into stability. Evolution sculpted every centimeter of its body for precision. No claws, no fangs dripping with venom, just perfect timing and pressure. The beauty of this creature lies not in aggression, but in calculation. It represents evolution's quiet intelligence, a predator that wastes nothing and fears no venom. It teaches a simple rule of nature. Power is not about destruction, but control. And in that truth, the kingsnake stands at the top of its silent empire. The forest falls silent when two serpents cross paths. To the untrained eye, they look identical, bands of red, black, and yellow gliding over dust and roots. But nature knows the difference. One carries venom, the other carries immunity. For a moment, they circle, mirrors of color reflecting ancient rivalry. The kingsnake doesn't rush. It observes, tracking the rhythm of its rival's breathing, the angle of its coils, the distance between patterns. Every movement is data. The air grows heavy, charged with instinct. When it finally moves, it's not aggression, it's purpose. The strike lands with mathematical accuracy, a flash of muscle and geometry. Within seconds, the rival is locked in a spiral of control. This isn't a battle. It's a biological equation solving itself. The kingsnake's grip tightens, pulse by pulse, until silence replaces struggle. What appears to be violence is, in truth, a lesson in evolutionary logic, survival, optimized through precision. The kingsnake's decision to attack another serpent isn't random. It's programmed into its biology. In the hierarchy of evolution, competition means survival. Snakes that eat rodents compete with other snakes that do the same. By removing the competition, the kingsnake ensures more food for itself and its offspring. But there's another layer hidden beneath this instinct: nutrient efficiency. The body of another snake is a concentrated package of protein already adapted to the same ecosystem. By consuming it, the kingsnake gains not only energy but compatibility, molecules already optimized for its own physiology. It's nature recycling perfection. What looks cruel is actually one of evolution's most efficient designs, a predator feeding on what mirrors its own biology. In the grand equation of survival, efficiency always wins. The kingsnake is not a murderer, it's nature's mathematician, erasing redundancy to preserve balance. To witness this act through the lens of science is to understand design at work. The kingsnake doesn't act out of rage or dominance, it acts from programming refined over millions of years. Each nerve impulse is a command written by generations of adaptation. When it constricts its rival, it's executing a sequence: capture, neutralize, assimilate. Inside its body, enzymes await the signal of fresh prey, ready to begin the transformation of life into energy. As the coils tighten, blood pressure collapses, the nervous system shuts down, and the digestion process silently prepares. Even before the prey dies, the kingsnake's internal chemistry is already adjusting temperature and heart rate to conserve energy for the next phase. It's not emotion, it's optimization. Nature doesn't waste. It only transfers. The predator and the prey are two sides of the same equation, and evolution is the hand that balances it. When scientists study encounters between kingsnakes and their serpentine prey, they describe them as evolutionary feedback loops. Each event fine-tunes the species further. The prey evolves venom, the kingsnake evolves immunity. The prey grows faster, the kingsnake grows more efficient. It's a never-ending dialogue written in DNA instead of language. This continuous exchange of adaptation creates equilibrium, a dynamic balance where both predator and prey improve the design of life itself. In the moment of confrontation, you are not watching a battle, but evolution rehearsing perfection. Even the patterns on their scales play a role, confusing eyes, reflecting sunlight, and triggering hesitation in both opponents. Nature turns even color into strategy. Beneath the stillness, chemistry is calculating, muscle is executing, and time itself is the silent referee. The outcome isn't about victory, it's about refinement. But what happens inside the kingsnake's body after the conquest is just as extraordinary as the battle itself. As it begins to swallow the other snake, its jaw unhinges with mechanical grace. Flexible ligaments stretch wide, forming a perfect frame for ingestion. The ribs expand like gears unlocking, allowing the kingsnake to engulf prey almost its own size. Gravity assists, and each contraction of its muscles pulls the meal deeper, millimeter by millimeter. During this process, the kingsnake slows its breathing to a near standstill, focusing all energy on the act of transformation. While humans require tools to dismantle matter, this creature needs only itself. It becomes the machine. The process looks monstrous, but it's pure efficiency, a biological system designed to recycle life into life. The consumed becomes the consumer. The circle closes without cruelty, without emotion, just design. When the forest returns to silence, what remains is not chaos, but balance. The kingsnake rests beneath the roots, its body now heavy with the weight of another's energy. Inside, acids begin their invisible work, dissolving flesh, bones, and venom alike. The rival's identity fades molecule by molecule, until only raw energy remains, absorbed, converted, reborn. In that transformation lies the purest definition of nature's order. There is no revenge here, no malice. Only function. The kingsnake is not evil or heroic. It is evolution's engineer, performing the task assigned by time itself. And as it settles into stillness, the forest exhales again, unaware that within those coils, chemistry is rewriting history, turning death into continuity. What looks brutal to the eye is to nature just maintenance. The system stays in balance. The equation is complete. Inside the kingsnake, digestion isn't chaos, it's choreography. The moment the prey stops moving, the serpent's internal chemistry awakens. Its stomach expands, releasing acids powerful enough to dissolve bone. Enzymes break complex proteins into simple molecules of energy, while the serpent's temperature rises several degrees to accelerate the reaction. In a sense, it becomes its own furnace, a biological reactor converting matter into motion. What would take fire hours to consume, the kingsnake reduces silently in darkness. The process is invisible to the eye, but under a microscope, it looks like a storm of order, molecules rearranging, oxygen transferring, energy reborn. In that quiet alchemy, nature performs its most elegant trick, transforming death into continuation. While digestion begins, the king snake's body enters a mode of controlled slowdown. Its heart beats fewer times per minute, conserving energy while acids do the work. The lungs compress, leaving more space for the swelling meal. Its entire metabolism reorganizes into a state of efficiency, what scientists call metabolic economy. Nothing is wasted. Heat from chemical breakdown warms its blood. Nutrients absorbed through the intestines are stored directly into muscle, fueling regeneration. Even the toxins from venomous prey are neutralized, converted into harmless compounds, and excreted without damage. Every cell seems to know its role, synchronized like instruments in a silent orchestra. The king snake's body doesn't just digest, it optimizes. The chemistry behind this efficiency fascinates biologists. In laboratory studies, king snakes show one of the fastest digestive responses among constrictors. Within hours, the structure of the prey collapses under enzymatic assault. Collagen cartilage and skin dissolve into amino acids. The bones, once rigid frameworks, are stripped by acid until they vanish completely. Even venom proteins, often resistant to breakdown, are dismantled molecule by molecule. It's as if the king snake's stomach recognizes the code of its prey, rewriting it line by line into energy compatible with its own genome. Scientists call this biochemical adaptation specific digestion, a process that may inspire future research on waste reduction and metabolism in other species, even humans. During these hours of internal transformation, the king snake becomes almost motionless. From the outside, it looks asleep. Inside, it's a chemical factory operating at maximum precision. Blood flow redirects toward the stomach, carrying oxygen and nutrients where they're needed most. Meanwhile, the nervous system enters a phase of calm, a natural meditative state. Energy is not burned through movement, but conserved for digestion. In this moment, the king snake exists between two worlds, the stillness of rest and the intensity of creation. What seems like sleep is science unfolding quietly. Evolution designed it to know when to pause, a lesson that nature teaches through silence, that growth often happens in stillness. When digestion ends, the transformation is complete. The king snake has turned its rival into pure strength, muscles denser, reactions sharper, body heavier with new energy. What was once another serpent now fuels the continuation of its lineage. Even the calcium from dissolved bones fortifies the king snake's skeleton. Nothing is wasted, every molecule is repurposed. This is nature's definition of perfection, efficiency without emotion. The predator rests not as a symbol of dominance, but as proof of equilibrium. Inside its body, the laws of physics, chemistry, and biology converge into one truth, that life feeds on itself to remain alive. And in that truth, the king snake becomes more than a hunter. It becomes the system itself, the living embodiment of nature's unbroken cycle. A king snake can swallow prey nearly its own size, a feat of physics and patience. Its jaw unhinges like living machinery, expanding 3 times wider than its skull. If humans had that ability, you could swallow someone your own height hole. It's absurd yet precise, proof that nature engineers beyond imagination. Among all serpents, few match the king snake's immunity. It can devour venomous species like rattlesnakes and coral snakes without risk. Inside its blood lies a molecular shield, proteins that dismantle toxins before they cause harm. Evolution turned its veins into an antidote factory. In tests of pressure per body weight, the king snake surpasses giants like the python. Pound for pound, it's one of the strongest constrictors on Earth. Every coil is pure precision, strength perfectly calculated. What looks simple is evolution's masterpiece hidden in muscle. Ultimately, what we call brutality is just biology doing its job. The king snake doesn't kill for pleasure or dominance. She follows a code older than language, a program written by evolution itself. Every muscle, every reaction, every heartbeat exists to maintain the equation of balance. She doesn't hate the rival she consumes, she transforms it. In this act lies the essence of life, constant recycling, adaptation, and precision. Nature wastes nothing, and the king snake is living proof of this philosophy. When we look at this serpent, we aren't witnessing cruelty, we are witnessing a project. Every scale is a blueprint, every movement a calculation. The king snake teaches a silent lesson that humanity often forgets. Power isn't destruction, it's efficiency. Her immunity, her patience, her geometry of force, all built over centuries of silent refinement. She doesn't conquer through fear or force, but through understanding the rules written in her blood. That's why evolution crowned her king. Somewhere beneath the leaves, it rests, heart slow, body still, digestion complete. Within, chemistry hums like a hidden engine, transforming what was once another life into continuity. And in this stillness, you realize something deeper. There is no villain in nature, no hero, no cruelty. There is only one purpose. Every predator, every prey, every breath participates in the same algorithm, survival through transformation. If you've come this far, you already know. Nature doesn't create monsters, it creates balance. And each time the king cobra feeds is not an act of death, but of renewal. So keep watching, keep learning, and keep questioning what you think you know about life. Because behind every scale, there is a secret waiting to be discovered.